welcome back. Once again, on Thursdays, we have a busier day, so I will do the preview video Wednesday night and then show it to you people rather than getting up really early on Thursday morning and trying to get it done then. It's just easier this way for me, and for you guys, it gets you an awake THG to do the video. That being said, let us go ahead, dive in with Boston at home against the Islanders. The Islanders are 12-9-2. Boston's 13-7-4. If you see an asterisk next to a player's name, it's because they're a new addition since the end of last season. I thought it was something interesting. I try to just throw in something interesting. And if somebody's wrong, I apologize. I did my best to make sure they're right and get everybody that's in there. I guarantee absolutely nothing. I try my best not to guarantee anything because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. I approach my marriage in the same way. I guarantee nothing. On the road, for the Islanders, their leading scorer is Bailey, 7 goals, 14 assists. Barzal, 3 goals, 17 assists. Nelson, 9 goals, 9 assists. Lee, 7 goals, 11 assists. Filppula with 7 goals, 9 assists. Valtteri Filppula is having a very solid season. Eberle, 6 goals, 5 assists. Komarov, 3 goals, 8 assists. And Mayfield is on the board with 3 goals and 7 assists. For Boston, the home team, Pasternak's their leading scorer now with 19 goals and 9 assists. 28 points for him. Bergeron, who's of course out injured, 9 goals, 17 assists. Marchand, 6 goals, 17 assists. Krejci, 2 goals, 17 assists. DeBrusk, 10 goals, 2 assists. Torrey Krug, now up to 10 assists. Grzelcyk, 1 goal, 7 assists. And McAvoy, 1 goal, 5 assists. And of course, if you're a Boston fan, you found out today Kevin Miller is out for 5 weeks, and you went, it's about right, yeah. That's basically my response now when I find out that a defenseman's hurt, even though he just came back. I'm like, yeah, of course he's hurt. And that's a huge part of the story, and I really would not be surprised to see the Islanders capable of taking advantage of that. The Islanders have a very solid forward group. Boston is battered, and I want to see them come up with a good game tomorrow. I think they will. But a victory, it could be a tough sell because the Islanders really desperately need this. Greiss, 8-4-1 record, 2.45 goals against, 925 save percentage. Leonard, 4-5-1 record, 2.99 goals against, 906 save percentage. All right, and I just verified that at the night before the games take place, there's only one goaltender that's listed as likely. All the others are unconfirmed right now. On the Boston side of things, Jaro Halak, 8-3-2 record, 2.06 goals against, 936 save percentage. He's been kind of fantastic for Boston so far this year. Tuukka Rask, 5-4-2 with a 2.72 goals against and a 913 save percentage. I'd expect Greiss. I would expect Halak, but we'll see what they do. In their last 10, the Islanders are 4-5-1. They lost their last game. Boston's 5-3-2, and they lost their last game. On the road, the Islanders are 6-6. At home, Boston's a very solid 8-2. So if Boston can get a jump on them early, if Krejci can get some passes to Pastrnak, Marchand, and all that, if that can get going, you just never know. Versus the East, the Islanders are an impressive 9-4. Versus the East, Boston's an impressive 9-3-1. So I anticipate a good game here, and these are teams that could be fighting it out for a wild card spot through parts of March and April. I can see the Islanders staying in this. I think that while the Islanders currently right now aren't in a playoff spot, I think they've been pretty solid. And I would not be surprised to see them end up in a playoff spot at the end of the year, or at the very least, within shouting distance. I don't see them as tanking or selling or any of that stuff right now. Could that change? Absolutely. Vegas. Well, you'll notice I have Akbar on the board because I do see this as kind of a trap. Vegas is coming into this on a roll. Vancouver is on a roll in the wrong direction. Vancouver's 11-13-3, and Vegas is 13-12-1. Both of these teams have played a ton of hockey already this year, and Vegas has withstood it a little better than Vancouver. Now Vancouver's had an awful time of it. A lot of road games. Now they got a homestand. We'll see if they can build some momentum. Scoring side of things, Marchessault, 10 goals, 10 assists. The remarkable thing about this role that Vegas has been on, Marchessault hasn't really had anything to do with it. Carlson, 7 goals, 12 assists. Tuck, 8 goals and 11 assists for 19 points for Tuck. He's above a point a game. And coming out of tomorrow night, I would not be surprised if Tuck's their leading scorer. Eakin, 10 goals, 6 assists. Theodore, 4 goals, 11 assists. Smith, 4 goals, 11 assists. Pacioretty, he's got that red asterisk as a new player. 8 goals, 5 assists for him. So Pacioretty's getting back to where we expected him to be. He now has 13 points in 26 games, and he's getting better. And he's getting better with every game. Colin Miller, 2 goals and 10 assists to round out the top 8 scorers for Vegas. And now the top 8 scorers have respectable point totals. They've started scoring again. They've started playing well. They're feeling good about themselves. And they're starting to play Vegas hockey for Vegas reasons. But for Vegas reasons, it just feels like this could very well be, it's a trap. On the Vancouver side of things, Bo Horvat, 11 goals, 11 assists. Pettersson, 13 goals, 8 assists, 21 points. Pettersson's overdue for a stellar scoring game where he's able to tee off with that shot a couple of times and get himself past that 13 goal level. He's kind of overdue for a big game offensively. Yes, and I'm going to say this right now. Any given game you watch of the Canucks, he is the most creative puck handler they have. He is the best player they have. But offensively, it's been more of a struggle. Teams are checking him a lot more closely than they were early in the season. They understand just how deadly he is, and it is affecting him. And part of becoming a superstar in the league, and not just, a very, very good player, is being able to fight your way through that. And it's going to be difficult for him because with Besser having been out as long as he has, and I don't think Besser's 100% yet, and Berchi, we don't know when / if he comes back, it allows teams to put more pressure on Pettersson because they know if they can shut him down, then all they really have to worry about is Horvat. All right. That said, behind Pettersson's Goldobin with 4 goals, 12 assists. Virtanen, 8 goals, 4 assists. Eriksson, 4 goals, 8 assists. Granlund, 5 goals, 6 assists. Brock Besser, 4 goals, 7 assists. Hutton, 4 goals and 6 assists to round out the scoring for the Canucks. Goaltenders. I'd expect Fleury because Subban's 0-4 with a 4.02 goals against, 8.59 save percentage. I wonder if Paul Holmgren's inquiring about him. Fleury, 13-8-1, 2.36 goals against, 9.11 save percentage, and I do expect him to be the starter. And yes, I was kidding about Subban and Holmgren. I'm probably going to make that remark a lot over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see what happens. On the Vancouver side of things, if I say it with enough goaltenders, eventually they'll be like, you called it. Yeah, because I said every goaltender. Bachman, 0-1 record, 6.00 goals against, 7.93 save percentage. He's in the American League until somebody gets hurt. Nilsson, 3-4 record, 2.86 goals against, 9.02 save percentage. I would honestly play Nilsson here if I was green. Markstrom, 8-8-3 record, 3.27 goals against, and an 8.98 save percentage. So the goaltending numbers for the Canucks are down, but everything for the Canucks has been down during this cold streak. Over their last 10, Vegas is 6-4. They've won 4 in a row. Over their last 10, Vancouver's won 7-2, and they've lost their last game. And that's why I'm kind of calling on Vancouver to have a win somewhere. They have to have a win somewhere. They just have to. On the road, Vegas is now 6-9. Their road record is getting better. And for Vancouver at home, they're 5-4-1. So as bad as the record looks, they've only played 10 games at home out of the 27 they've played, which is a giant ouch. Versus the West, Vegas is 8-4-1, and they have a sensational record against the Pacific, which is why Akbar wants to fall right off the board. Vegas has that 8-4-1 record. Vancouver has a 6-7-1 record versus the West. So they've been below 500 against both the West and the East for Vancouver. It's been a rough go lately for the Canucks. Next up, Rangers, 13-10-2. They're in against the 10-12-3 and very deceptively solid Ottawa Senators. The Senators, I think, are a goaltender away from actually being able to maintain some kind of momentum. Now, I'm going to say this. I do not mean that as an insult to Anderson. Anderson is under siege. They need to have a backup that they can have some more faith in than they're going to have with McKenna than they did with Condon. If they can add a really solid backup who can play more games and give Anderson more of a rest, you'll see Anderson's numbers come up, and I really think Ottawa is going to win more games. Remember, there's no reason for this team to tank. None. Player level, management level, there's no reason not to try to win as many games as you can this year. On the Rangers side of things, their leading scorer is Chris Kreider with 13 goals, 8 assists. Zibanejad, 8 goals, 13 assists. Hayes, 5 goals, 12 assists. Pionk, 4 goals, 11 assists. Howden, rookie kid, 4 goals, 9 assists. VC, and I've said it before, I'll say it, very good year. 8 goals, 4 assists for him. Zuccarello, 3 goals, 7 assists. And there's Hedl on the board with 5 goals, 4 assists. On the Ottawa side of things, Duchesne leads the way with 11 goals, 20 assists, and that's probably why I stutter a bit, because Duchesne with 31 points in 25 games is just hard for me to process. I'm not saying he's going to stay at that level, and I'm not saying it to be sarcastic. It's just weird because in the time I've had this channel running, which is a little over 2 years, we can go back not too far and see Duchesne just being a disappointment offensively. Shabbat, 7 goals, 22 assists. Stone, 11 goals, 17 assists. Tierney, 3 goals and 15 assists. Dzingel, 10 goals, 7 assists. There's Brady Tkachuk on the board now with 9 goals and 7 assists. He's a growing concern. White, 7 goals, 9 assists. And Bobby Ryan still in the top 8 with 5 goals, 11 assists. 16 points to hit their top 8 is the highest total of anybody that's on the board. And their scoring has been very solid for a team that we didn't expect would be able to score very well this year. Georgiev has a 4-3 record, 3.11 goals against, 903 save percentage. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play here. Lundqvist, 9-7-2, 2.60 goals against, 921 save percentage. On the Ottawa side of things, McKenna's going to rest, 1-1, 4.66 goals against, 879 save percentage. Anderson will play. 9-9-3 record, 3.87 goals against, and a 900 save percentage. And of course, Condon, who's in the minors, 0-2 record, 6.38 goals against, and an 800 save percentage. Over their last 10, the Rangers are 6-3-1. They won their last game. Ottawa's 4-6. They won their last game. Of course, that's that game against Philly that got people in Philly fired. On the road, the New York Rangers 3-6-2, and at home, Ottawa's actually a decent 7-4-2. So if you want to look at numbers that mean maybe it's skewed in the wrong direction, 3 wins out of 11 games for Rangers on the road, 7 wins out of 13 games at home for Ottawa. It kind of favors Ottawa in this one. It really does. Versus the East, the Rangers are 7-5-2 and Ottawa is 8-7-1. So things kind of, if you look at it, it kind of does favor the Ottawa Senators, although once the game starts, we'll see how much it favors the Sens, right? Next up, to finish this board, is the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. The Kings, 9-14-1, but getting better. They've won their last 2 games. Against the 11-11-2 Edmonton Oilers, who have won 2 out of 4 since Hitchcock took over. They're 2-1-1. They've only allowed 8 goals since Hitchcock took over. And there was an article today on NHL.com about how he has completely changed the approach of the team and that it's all defense now and try to generate chances off other teams' mistakes. And Connor McDavid saying that, yes, it's a change, and it does mean that the all-offense attack is probably gone. But he says he doesn't care as long as they win more games. He doesn't care how they're playing or if it's going to mean less points for him. On the scoring side of things for the Kings, finally somebody news at the top of this list. Anze Kopitar, who's woken up from his slumber, 7 goals and 8 assists, 15 points for Kopitar. Kovalchuk, 5 goals, 9 assists. He's stuck on the 4th line at this stage. I haven't seen anything from him to make me think that he'll get out of that 4th line duty unless he leaves the team or something crazy happens. Doughty, 2 goals, 12 assists. Toffoli, 5 goals, 7 assists. Brown, 7 goals, 5 assists. I guess one thing with Kovalchuk is if you saw an injury to one of their top 6 forwards, he would probably get another shot at a top 6 spot. Iafallo, 5 goals, 5 assists for him. Carter, 4 goals, 8 assists. Martinez rounds out the top 8 with 1 goal and 7 assists for him. On the Edmonton side of things, there's McDavid with 13 goals and 20 assists. He's had 5 points in 4 games since Hitchcock took over. Draisaitl, 13 goals, 14 assists. Nugent Hopkins, 6 goals, 16 assists. Chason, who's been a story this year, 10 goals already and 2 assists. Clefbaum, 1 goal, 10 assists. Kajula, 7 goals, 2 assists for 9 points. Larson, 8 assists. And Toby Reeder's still on the board with 7 assists. And I want to say again, Clefbaum's having a decent season. Clefbaum underachieved last year. He's having a decent season right now. Goaltenders, go with Peterson. Seriously. They'll go with Quick if Quick's healthy. Peterson, 4-3 record, 2.46 goals against, 927 save percentage. He's been awesome. Great mask, too, I might add. Budai 0-1 record, 5.02 goals against, 818 save percentage. He's back in the American League because Quick's off the IR. 0-3-1 record, 4.55 goals against, 845 save percentage for him. And Campbell, who's still injured, 5-7 record, 2.33 goals against, 923 save percentage. Now, if Quick gets on a run and they decide to keep Quick around, Campbell's the one that I could see being gone then, which would be weird because Campbell's, he's not that young, but he's still young enough. And I think it would be weird if they resurrect Campbell's career and trade him off. But it seems to be a thing that the Kings do, and they do well. On the Edmonton side of things, looking at the matchup, I would expect Talbot. And I know Oiler fans aren't going to want to hear that. But since it's Hitchcock, Koskinen. Talbot's 5-9-1, 3.29 goals against, 889 save percentage. Koskinen, 6-2-1, 2.29 goals against, 922 save percentage. Hitchcock's prime purpose is just to win. And whatever goaltender has a better winning percentage, better numbers, is likely going to get a lion's share of starts. So Koskinen could very well be seen as the de facto starter as soon as 2 weeks from now. We could be talking about how Talbot's not getting enough games. Your record in the last 10, 4-6 for the Kings, but they've won 2 in a row. 3-6-1 for the Oilers. They won their last game. They're going to look for revenge on the Kings for the loss that they took 5-2 the other night. On the road, the Kings are 6-7-1, which is not so bad considering their record being 9-14-1. They're not playing well at home. The Oilers 5-4-1 at home for them. Versus the West, the Kings are 5-8-1. Versus the West, the Oilers are 6-6-1. It's going to be a very interesting game. And now I'm going to switch boards. Okay, Chicago, Winnipeg. Chicago 9-11-5. That's an ugly record. But Chicago scares me kind of in a way Pittsburgh does. No matter how poor their record gets, I know they've got the players from that 3 Stanley Cup run that they had over 6 years, 3 Stanley Cups, that I'm scared of them on any given night. And they're in against Winnipeg. And Winnipeg at 13-8-2. It looks like a good record, but they're not doing well. And it's too bad because they were playing some of the best hockey in the league, and now they're just not. And I wanted to take this little puppy and put it right there. And I really agonized over where to put it. I thought I'm not putting it on more than 1 game per board, and that's going to be my rule with these magnets. No more than 1 Akbar per board, and I don't see this as much of a trap game because to me Winnipeg's been playing down to opponents. On the Chicago side of things, Patrick Kane leads them in scoring with 13 goals, 15 assists, and Kane is having a great year even though the team behind him really isn't. Taves 11 goals, 10 assists. DeBrincat 10 goals, 9 assists. Saad 7 goals, 7 assists. Anisimov 3 goals, 8 assists. Seabrook 3 goals, 7 assists. Cahoon 2 goals, 8 assists, and Yoki Haru still on the board with 10 assists. Now, not on the board is Dylan Strome. He had a goal and an assist in his first game with Chicago. We'll see if that continues. If foot speed was a problem for him in Arizona, he may be covered up for that in Chicago with the way that they play. It's a totally different style, and it may very well cover up for his foot speed issues. We'll see, right? Blake Wheeler, 4 goals, 25 assists, leads the Jets. Scheifele, 13 goals, 13 assists. Kyle Connor, 10 goals, 14 assists. Laine, who's at 19 goals and 3 assists. Bufflin, 2 goals, 15 assists. Little, 4 goals, 10 assists. Ehlers, 5 goals, 7 assists. And Jacob Trouba, 1 goal, 9 assists. Now, if we look at it, to me it looks like between the 2 goaltenders for Chicago right now, I don't know that there's a huge difference. Ward's had a lot of rest, and he seems to be better in recent games, so I don't think that it matters who starts tomorrow. Crawford's 5-9-1 with a 2.98 goals against, 906 save percentage. Now, I do think Crawford gets the start, but if they go with Ward, it's not the end of the world. Ward's 4-2-4, 3.9 goals against, 890 save percentage. For Winnipeg, I'd go with Brossoit. And not just because it's a team near the bottom of the standings, so you play your backup, which used to be a general rule, but because Hellebuck hasn't looked very good lately. Hellebuck's 9-7-1, 2.98 goals against, 907 save percentage. So his save percentage has dropped below league average. And Brossois 4-1-1 with a 2.05 goals against, 937 save percentage. So yeah, I would give Brossois the start. In their last 10, Chicago's 3-5-2. They lost their last game. The Winnipeg Jets 5-4-1, and they lost their last game. So your guess is as good as mine with this one. But on the road, Chicago's 4-7-2, and at home, Winnipeg's 8-3-2. So based on that, it would seem to favor Winnipeg, but it's a division rivalry, and we'll see. Versus the West, Chicago's 5-6-3 versus the West. The Winnipeg Jets are 8-4-1. So again, that would seem to favor Winnipeg, but Winnipeg has just not played particularly well the last week or so. And we'll see if that continues tomorrow night or not, and if the Chicago Blackhawks can pull off an upset. Next up, Arizona, 10-11-2. They're in against the 17-7-1 Nashville Predators. The Preds playing some pretty solid hockey. Their record hasn't been great over the last 10, not compared to what it was, but still, they're up near the top. And I say near only because Buffalo in the East is kind of blowing away any idea we had of what they were going to be. If you look at the scoring stats, Keller still leads the Arizona Coyotes with 6 goals, 8 assists. That's 14 points in 23 games. That's just not good enough for a leader. Ekman Larson, 2 goals, 10 assists. That's Schmaltz with 2 goals, 9 assists. Grabner, 6 goals, 5 assists. Stepan, 6 goals, 4 assists. Hinostroza, 4 goals, 6 assists. Richardson, 6 goals, 3 assists. And Galchenyuk, 3 goals and 6 assists. Galchenyuk's gone cold, and that's hurting Arizona. But then again, everybody in Arizona's gone cold. If Nick Schmaltz is going to show that he's going to bring him back and lift him up, tomorrow's a good night to start because they're coming off of an unexpected win over Minnesota. Now they're in Nashville. If you want to show that you're still in the running for a spot in the Pacific in the playoffs, winning in Nashville would go a long way to that. Goaltenders, well, Ronta's hurt again. Ronta and Luongo, it's starting to look really similar between the two. Hill, he's 1-0 with a 1,000 save percentage. The kid is perfect. Kemper, 4-5-2 record, 2.71 goals against, 914 save percentage. Miska, no record, 3.28 goals against, 889 save percentage. And Antti Ranta, 5-6 with a 2.88 goals against and a 906 save percentage. Goaltenders on the Nashville side, I would expect Rinne because you can't afford to start losing games. Not in the Central. You've got Chicago coming up behind you, and Minnesota. Even though Minnesota's cooled off a little bit, they're still getting closer. You look over the last 10 games, they have encroached a little bit on Nashville, so you got to win your games. I'd expect Saros to be the backup at a 7-4 record, 3.29 goals against, 891 save percentage, and Rinne to be the starter with a 10-3-1 record, 1.77 goals against, 938 save percentage. In their last 10, Arizona's 3-5-2. They won their last game. Nashville's 5-4-1, and they lost their last game. And it's a tremendous risk for me to have Akbar on this game. On the road, Arizona's 5-5-1, and at home, Nashville is 9-4-0. And expressing why I think this might be where an upset could take place tomorrow. Versus the West, Arizona's 5-6-1. Nashville's only 10-7-1 against the West. Nashville does not have a great record against the West. They're 7-0 against the East. They have no problem with the East, but the West, the West gives them problems. They're only 3 games above 500 against the West. And a majority of your games are played against the West. So as great as that record shows, by the end of the year, that could get clawed back if they continue to have an okay record against the West, but not great. Because in this day and age, 100 points is great, but it may only get you a road series. You may end up being the number 3 seed in your division. You may end up being a wild card with 100 points. So it's not a given, and I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen, but Arizona has a better chance tomorrow night than it looks like they do just when you look at the scoring stats, because every other stat makes it look like it's heavily favored for Nashville. Not saying it's going to be an upset, just that's where I could see one taking place. That's all the Akbars are for, is just this is a potential trap. Maybe your team's going to be looking past you, and you can surprise them. Next up, Minnesota and Columbus. This is fun. These teams came into the league together. And Minnesota's had a run to the conference final and not much else. And Columbus has never made it out of the first round. Both teams are a little desperate to get to a Stanley Cup final, to give their fan base something big to cheer for, and both of them are relying on a lot of veterans, to be honest. Columbus has more young guys in their lineup than does Minnesota, but Columbus seems to be on the clock because of the continuing Panarin and Bobrovsky situations. But the thing is, I keep hearing about Panarin and how he's going to get traded, but he and his agent are going to sit down in January and talk. And in that discussion, it's going to be, okay, do I want to stay in Columbus? And the agent has said Artemi Panarin is enjoying this run with Columbus. He's happy right now, and that could very well lead to him extending his time as a Blue Jacket. So all of this talk may end up going nowhere. And Bobrovsky, you don't trade him when you're near the top of the division, because unless you're getting back a number one goalie for him, it's just not worth it. And I don't know very many teams that are going to trade a number one goaltender at this stage for Bobrovsky, who Columbus is going to be willing to trade with, that they don't think would seriously impede their chances to win. On the Minnesota side of things, Granlund leads the way with 10 goals, 13 assists. Parise, 11 goals, 10 assists. And I've mentioned before, Parise is having a very good season. Koivu, 4 goals, 16 assists. Suter, 3 goals, 16 assists. Also having an excellent season. Suter and Parise's contracts have looked bad for a long time. They still don't look great. But with them playing like this, it certainly makes them look a lot better. Dumba, 10 goals, 8 assists. Stahl, 9 goals, 8 assists. Zucker, 7 goals, 9 assists. And Spurgeon's on the board with 3 goals and 11 assists. On the Columbus side of things, Panarin, 6 goals, 20 assists. Atkinson, 15 goals, 10 assists. Dubois, who's developed into a very solid center in his own right, 12 goals, 10 assists. Foligno, 6 goals, 9 assists. Josh Anderson, the goal scorer nobody's talking about. He has 11 goals, 3 assists. Werenski, 4 goals, 10 assists. Boone Jenner's on the board with 5 goals, 8 assists. And check it out. It's Murray. That's right. Ryan Murray, 1 goal, 12 assists. And his plus-minus, I know, plus-minus doesn't mean anything to people anymore, but he's a plus 12, which means he's been playing pretty well defensively in general. This is the only game that showed me even a likely for goaltenders. Dubnyk is highly likely to get the start. Stalock as the backup, 5-2 record, 2.45 goals against, 913 save percentage. Dubnyk, 9-6-2, 2.57 goals against, 915 save percentage. Dubnyk's numbers are getting more pedestrian, and we'll see if Minnesota can overcome that. On the other side of the ice, Bobrovsky's getting better. I would expect him to start. Korpisalo backing up. 5-1-2 record, 3.73 goals against, 886 save percentage. Bobrovsky's 9-7, 2.75 goals against, 912 save percentage. Over their last 10, Minnesota's 6-4, Columbus is 7-2-1. Minnesota lost their last game. Columbus won their last game. On the road, Minnesota 6-5. At home, Columbus is 6-4-1. Columbus does not play as well at home as they do on the road. I anticipate a close game here, so it'll be like 6-0. Versus the East, not a lot of games for Minnesota. They're 2-2-1. Versus the West, Columbus has played more games. They've 5-3-1. So this will be a very interesting game between two teams that are in similar positions and came into the league the same year. And I enjoy that. It's sort of like Ottawa, Tampa, and looking at them and seeing Minnesota against Columbus is interesting to me because Minnesota was, yes, we need to go back to Minnesota because we never should have left. Columbus was just sort of they're going to Columbus? Okay, that's different. No, yeah, Columbus, that's fine. Yeah, Columbus? That was the collective reaction of NHL fans when Columbus was announced as an expansion team, just sort of Columbus? Oh, all right, Columbus. Okay, yeah, fine. Finally, last but not least, we've got Buffalo and Tampa, and I saved this for last. It is the game of the night. This is going to be one heck of a game, isn't it? The 17-6-2 Buffalo Sabres in against the 17-7-1 Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh boy, let's get ready to rumble. You have an explosive offense on both sides of the ice. I would argue that for depth, Tampa's ahead of them. I would argue that in goal, if Vasilevsky was playing, that puts them ahead of Buffalo. With Demang as the starter, I would give Buffalo the nod in net. On the blue line, it's closer to a saw-off than it should be when you've got Hedman, McDonough, and all of those weapons. But Dahlin makes a big difference, and he's starting to produce. And this is a huge game for Dahlin, Skinner, Eichel, and everybody in Buffalo. And this can extend their winning streak to 11. On the Buffalo side of things, Eichel, 5 goals, 23 assists. He's amazing as a passer. Pretty good shot, too, but he seems to prefer to pass. And with Skinner at 19 goals and 8 assists now, makes total sense. Skinner's exactly where he needs to be to score the goals. Pominville, 9 goals, 9 assists. Reinhart, 3 goals, 14 assists. Okposo, 5 goals, 10 assists. Ristolainen, 3 goals, 11 assists. Dahlin, 2 goals, 11 assists. And Connor Sherry on the board with 6 goals, 6 assists. Sherry, Dahlin, and Skinner, 3 out of the top 8 are guys who were not in Buffalo jerseys last year. So there has been some decent turnover, and the moves made by Buffalo have pretty much universally worked out. On the Tampa side of things, Kucherov slowly creeping up the scoring stats with 9 goals, 24 assists. Point, 18 goals, 14 assists, having an excellent season. Yanni Gourde, 9 goals, 12 assists. Stamkos, 7 goals, 14 assists. Miller, 5 goals, 13 assists. McDonough, 2 goals, 16 assists. Johnson, 10 goals, 7 assists. And Alex Killorn with 3 goals and 8 assists for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Goaltenders. You know what? I expect Hutton again. I think Carter Hutton's going to be starting a lot of games, and I think he is going to get every opportunity this year to show that he can be an excellent starter in the NHL. I don't know how long he can keep it up, but so far so good. 12-6-1 record, 2.5 goals against, and a .920 save percentage. So he started off really well, he backed off a bit in his statistics, but now statistically he's right back up where he was. Allmark, 5-0-1 record, 2.52 goals against, .926 save percentage. It's fun when you know that the backup can stay in the whole game when you get a rest. On the Tampa side of things, I expect Demang. Vasilevsky still sitting with that 9-3-1 record while injured. 2.29 goals against, .927 save percentage. Demang is 8-4, 3.19 goals against, .903 save percentage. In their last 10, Buffalo's 10-0. They've won all 10, and that's their winning streak. For Tampa, they're 6-4 in their last 10. They lost their last game, and that was against Anaheim at home, and that one kind of hurts. On the road, Buffalo's 8-4-1, and at home, Tampa's 10-4. But they were 10-3 before that loss at home against Anaheim. So you're trying to stem the tide, and you're trying to get back into first place in your division tomorrow night if you're Tampa. I'm not even going to try to predict this. I think it's just going to be a really fun game to watch. Versus the East, Buffalo is 9-3-1. Versus the East, Tampa's 12-2. 12-2, meaning that against the West, they're 5-5-1. Isn't that weird? The East looks better than the West, and yet arguably one of the best teams in the East doesn't have a great record against the West. With 9-3-1, that means that against the West, Buffalo is 8-3-1. So, isn't that kind of weird? It's weird to me, anyways. It's one of those things that you notice, and you go, "Oh, that's strange." It's not. It doesn't mean anything, but you look, and you know, that's kind of weird. Anyways, I used to in math class in high school. I would notice patterns and numbers, and teachers would go, "Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how you figured that out. That's weird. Just that's not the work I gave you. What are you doing?" Anyways, there you go. The weirdness for today. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video, let me know in the comment section below any thoughts you have on this subject matter. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.